Oh man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is? Tuesday. Brewsday Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah. Grab a cold one. It's Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar and Six Pack Store. Here's DreZ and Big Nate.
Popping those taps confirms it, ladies and gentlemen. It is Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar Restaurant and Six Pack Store in downtown Blacksburg, which is where I went just this past weekend. And I walked up to Mikey and I said, Mikey, you know what this Tuesday is? And he said, what? He said, it's Celiac Awareness Day.
I'm shocked he didn't just know that offhand.
You really would think.
He knows everything.
Um,
Let me down, Mikey.
So I asked Mikey, I was just like, so we wanted to look for gluten-free beers, which may or may not even have to do with celiac. I thought so, but I know that I tabbed you with doing the research and actually helping people to become aware with it. So either way, I was surprised. There was many more to choose from than I had anticipated. So I just popped from Glutenberg, which I don't know if that's the actual place, Glutenberg.ca. Is it actually
I loved him in
Glutenberg,
Stripes
California?
and Police Academy.
I don't know. Either way, this is the Glutenberg IPA, which it says millet, buckwheat, and corn beer. It's a gluten-free craft brewery out of California. This one's coming in at 6%. And you popped, is it Greens, right?
Greens
I think they're
Discovery gluten-free amber ale, naturally gluten-free, which is pretty wild. Greens beers are made from only from gluten-free ingredients and do not contain wheat and or barley, crustaceans, which honestly, I feel like most beers made without that. Eggs, fish, peanuts, soya beans, milk, lactose. So you're not going to find a lactose IPA
thank
in their
goodness.
catalog. Nuts, celery, which wait, celery. Okay, so we've
So
that's going to be a conversation. Mustard, sesame seeds, sulfur dioxide, or sulfates, and of course 6.0% ABV in this pint, and they're not messing around. But
yeah, so Greens is another brewery, I guess, like Glutenberg, which I hadn't heard of. That does. I've actually had a Greens beer or two, and I knew that they were a gluten-free brewery and that they were doing their thing. But this Glutenberg also had a number of beers to choose from. Like the Greens had an IPA, but I'd had that before, so I grabbed the amber. And then Glutenberg over here had a whole slew of like 5 or 6 to choose from as well. So.
Well, I thought there was no chance in hell we were trying an amber or a darker beer. But so Celiac Awareness Day. I did learn a little bit about celiac disease. Essentially, it's just an immune reaction to eating gluten, which is found a lot in wheat, barley.
So gluten is very big and an important factor of celiac. So I at least got that thing right.
You had that spot on: wheat, barley, and rye. So basically, rye's out. You can't drink rye whiskey.
Wheat.
You got to be real careful with the whiskey you do drink. But apparently, there are other foods that can cause it. Celery being in there, which celery is apparently where the cilia comes from.
Interesting. Okay, that is, I did not know that. So but you said wheat, but I guess buckwheat is okay because over here, this beer I'm drinking, it says it's a millet, buckwheat, and corned beef. So I guess buckwheat is not a normal wheat or not a wheat that affects.
Well, I wonder if it's like you know how you get the onions that grow as weeds versus wild onion, like those are different chemically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be something like that. I mean, I didn't dig down that deep, but I do wonder, and I feel for anyone who's suffering from this because bread.
Yeah, bread. I mean, let's be honest, bread is amazing. I know a lot of people do the carb-free thing for health reasons and stuff, and that's great, But imagine if you had to, because you would be sick otherwise. I remember the first time I ever heard of celiac. My Uncle John actually had it, and basically he was just. I mean, I'm trying to even think of what year this was. I was quite young. I might have been in like middle school or something when they figured that out. But basically, he would eat a lot of normal stuff. Gluten is in a lot of stuff, just any type of pasta or bread or whatever, and just got so sick. And then they finally like figured it out that that's what it was. So yeah, we started having whenever Uncle John was there, we would have to have special dishes for him. Like he would have his gluten-free pasta and the spaghetti. Like he would have his own little this and that, and it just it really sucked for him. I felt for the guy.
Well, so I'm hanging out on the Cleveland Clinic website about celiac disease, and like the symptoms are not fun. Some people can have no symptoms at all.
And in which case,
So
do you
then
even
I don't
have
think
it?
you have celiac disease.
Yeah, I don't know.
Your body's just not breaking it down, and then I guess you have some like gnarly stools. I don't know. Digestive problems, which includes, you guessed it, basically anything the Pepto label covers. But like it can cause a severe blistering skin rash and depression.
So, I mean, when you think about blistering, that almost seems like if you even like come in contact,
Yeah.
like you're actually like allergic.
Yeah.
But
And I think it's one of those like lactose intolerance is similar, because I can speak on that. I kind of suffer from lactose intolerance, and that there are certain spectrums, and I think celiac probably falls along the same lines where not everyone's going to get that same reaction, but there are some that are super extreme. Like the fact that it causes depression just blows my mind.
jeez, well, maybe it's just because you get depressed that you can't eat bread.
Are you sad? Yeah, I had a sandwich earlier.
Uh,
Probably shouldn't have done that. Now I'm real like down in the dump. Like it's no joke.
Well, and the other thing is, I mean, I know we're talking about, I think that's the big one, bread, but yeah, man, I mean, most beer is gonna have one of these ingredients that's a no. So that is depressing. I mean, if you turn around and told me that I can no longer have beer or bread without getting sick, I'd be pretty depressed.
That's where that depression comes in. Yep.
Yeah.
No, and I'm like I said, I mean, I'm shocked that there was an amber found that is gluten free. That's pretty awesome.
That being said, I know we joked around saying that, oh, well, what has gluten in it? And I'm like, everything that tastes good, implying that anything that it needs gluten to taste bad. So honestly, I know that was a joke, but that does almost seem to be the case for a lot of the stuff I think about. But I know that when it comes to the gluten-free beers, so basically what I'm trying to say is I had my anticipation or expectations, I should say, of these beers on the lower side because, they're missing some ingredients that are usually pretty tasty. That being said, I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to untap it yet, but this Glutenberg IPAs, I've been impressed. It doesn't taste like your typical IPA would, which makes sense because doesn't have a lot of the main ingredients that you're using, but it doesn't taste bad.
There's a very mainstream IPA that I'm a pretty big fan of. You're of course, well, mainstream feels weird, but Stone, their delicious IPA is in fact gluten free.
Really?
Yep.
Do they advertise it as such? Okay.
It's one of their like points of pride, and I don't know if someone like on their staff has a gluten intolerance or celiac disease, and I mean it is damn delicious. So I mean, the fact of the matter is that you can do it. I'm actually, knowing what's coming up on the next segment, much more excited for that one because there is
well,
flavor abound.
We can talk about that when it comes around. But another thing I noticed about this can, and it makes sense, I guess, because if you're drinking a gluten-free beer, you probably are specifically interested in the ingredients. So those are listed. We got water, millet, buckwheat, corn, sugars, hops, and the yeast. But I have full-blown nutrition facts. I don't know if yours has that, but in this can, 320 calories. Everything else is pretty much zeroed out except for carbs. We got 30 carbs, which is 11% of your intake. So even the gluten-free can of beer, you're still looking at 30 carbs in it, which makes me think that your typical IPA of the bigger boys that I like is probably at least double, maybe even triple that. And I guarantee you the caloric content is more than 320 as well.
So for this amber, calories only 110. That's per serving. So like you're not going to drink a whole pint and get 110 calories. That's per 8.4 4 or 5 fluid ounces. And then sodium, 25 milligrams, which is 1% of your daily allotment. But the carbs, 6.3%. Or 6.3 grams, rather.
Well, that's
2.1%.
much lighter on the carbs.
So, yeah.
But it's also, maybe it's because of the IPA, the style variation.
If you're health conscientious, gluten-free amber ale, maybe not that bad for you.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising. That being said, I guess the question is how does it taste? The color on that is a bit, frankly, off-putting. If you're watching on the Facebook or the YouTube, it is just one of those sort of browns that looks less like it's not the kind of brown you'd want to drink, I think.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it tastes good.
Okay.
It looks like sewage runoff.
It looks pretty rough. It really does.
And I feel like if you're paying attention to something like that, you kind of have to like hold your nose and be ready to rock. It's tasty, but yeah, it does not look like
some beers we have on this show. Look
who's gonna look
delicious.
at that and be like, yeah, I want this. That's just a cold glass of that, please.
Either way, we'll go ahead and untap them, which, by the way, is how we like to keep track of our beers and rate them on the Untapped scale, which is ranging from 0.25 up to 5 in increments of 0.25. And DreZ Drinks is my handle if you'd like to friend us on there. Big Nate Danger sitting across from me. How are you feeling about that gluten-free amber from Greens?
I mean, an amber ale is going to lose something from not having gluten. There's not that kind of roasted malt flavor. It's tasty. I'd drink it again. It does taste better than some straight ambers I've had without like having that gluten-free tag. 3 3/4. 3.75.
Okay.
I think is the score I'm going to give it.
I figured we would be in the 3 range on this round, which I'm right there with you. This is not bad beer, the gluten-free IPA. I'm trying. It's funny. I'm sipping it and I'm like trying to put my finger on the taste difference, but I know what the taste difference is because that's exactly what, I think it's missing some of the main, your wheats or whatever. It's this buckwheat. Again, it's not bad. It's just different.
It's almost like it's not as full, at least in my case.
Yeah. I mean, but it definitely just has a different flavor to it. It's got the hops. Obviously, it's in there and it's listed in the ingredients that it's there like that. But man, there's definitely it's not quite what you're used to. The lacing is also a bit lackluster. Nice and clear though. If that's what you're looking for, it's just I'm not too impressed. I think I'm right there with you. A 3.75. I don't love this beer, but I tell you what, I would happily drink it to not get sick if I had a gluten allergy or whatever, celiac. So. Like Nate mentioned, the next round of gluten-free is a whole different ball game that I think might be a little bit tastier. So we'll take a quick break. We'll play a tune. We'll come back. It's Celiac Awareness Day on Brewsday Tuesday here with 105.3 The Bear. So stick around.